everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm going to be doing a book review on The Solitude of Prime Numbers by Paolo Giordano. Totally butchered that one. This book was originally published in Italian in 2008 and then was translated into English in 2009. And I think this book is kind of a big deal in Italy, or is like really well known in Italy. But I feel like I didn't really hear that much about this book in America, or maybe I'm just running in the wrong circles. But I picked up this book because it was a bargain book at Barnes & Noble. This book follows two people, Alice and Mattia. They are basically two misfits slash outcasts. The book opens up with you seeing something tragic happening to both of them very early on in their lives, and then it sort of like flash forwards to them in I think high school, and then you sort of follow them throughout various periods of time. This was a very interesting book to read because I didn't really know that much about it, as you can tell by the way I described it in the beginning. I didn't know what to expect, but those first chapters were heart crushing. Like, I don't think I've ever started a book and been so sad after so few pages. Usually I'm really sad at the end of books, like something really tragic happens at the end, but really tragic things happen right away at the beginning and you are just completely wrecked from that, or at least I was, because these tragic things happen. They very much have a sort of social, I don't want to say disorder, but they definitely aren't very accepted by their peers and things like that. They act very different from everyone else. They very much are outcasts. It's called The Solitude of Prime Numbers because they are both, primes. They're misfits. They don't really belong with anything else. They're very much alone. And I think because you learn about the tragedies that happen in their lives right at the beginning, you can understand why they are the way that they are, as opposed to if you had just been introduced to them and found out about the tragedy later. I feel like these characters would have been very difficult to feel sympathetic towards because they act out and they don't necessarily choose the easiest paths or make the best choices, but I feel like it's all completely understandable based on the things that they've gone through so far in their lives. I feel like this is a book that if you were bullied yourself, or if you know people who were bullied, this is a book that very much captures the essence of bullying and being bullied, and I felt like I had a lot of anxiety for like the first 100 pages because it felt so real. I really was enjoying this book for about the first half of the book, and then there comes a point when everything sort of slows down. They go off to college and, eventually you see them out of college and being adults. It starts to become harder to be sympathetic towards them. I don't know if it's just because as people get older, you kind of want them to start to learn from the things that have happened to them in the past, and it seems like sometimes that these characters don't necessarily do that, although I guess in real life people don't always necessarily do that either, so it is still realistic. My biggest problem with the book was mainly the ending. I'm not someone who needs everything to be super complete and all wrapped up and tied up in a nice little bow at the end of books. I definitely understand the need for ambiguity sometimes, or the choice authors make to leave things open-ended, because life is sort of that way. When you leave a character, theoretically their lives keep going beyond the point of the book, so not everything in life will be all wrapped up in a nice bow. But at the same time, there was one specific thing that comes up at the end of the book, or towards the end of the book, and if you read this, you know what it is. It's something kind of major, and they just leave it unresolved completely, and it makes me wonder, like, why did you bring that up if you weren't going to resolve it? It just felt like another added mystery that brought a little bit more suspense in towards the end and made me really excited to read to see what would happen, and then nothing happened, and I kind of got upset at that. I feel like if they hadn't brought up that one specific thing towards the end and just left everything else the way it was, I would have been so much more pleased or satisfied with the ending, because I felt like everything else felt right, but it was seriously just that one specific thing that really bothered me. In the end, I ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5 stars. I feel like for the first part of this book, I was like, oh my gosh, this book is amazing. I feel like I'm gonna end up giving it 5 stars, which rarely ever happens. And then the ending just brought it back down to reality, and I was like, oh, well, this was good, but it wasn't as good as I hoped it was going to be. I still really recommend this book though, because I feel like the way that the characters were presented were so real. If you like realistic fiction, this is definitely one you should check out. I feel like my heart hasn't been crushed like that in a really long time when it comes to books. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Solitude of Prime Numbers. Feel free to leave your thoughts down below if you have read this book. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching.